Hey, how are you doing today? It's Dawnna St Louis, and we're going to talk a little bit about closing the deal. I'm actually making sure I go on Do Not Disturb, because literally the second that I was coming on, because I was supposed to be on at 2:30 on the dot, the moment that I decided to come on, what happens? My phone rings. Always happens that way. Anyway, it's great to be here today. It's all about deal closing, right? It's why as either entrepreneurs or salespeople, or, even when people are working in corporate environments, like they really struggle to close the deal. So let me go ahead and get my shout outs. What's up, Ahmed? What's up, Isala? What's up, Jarasi? How are you guys doing? I hope I'm saying your names right today. I have on my glasses so I can see. What's up, Michael? Hey, from Mexico. Hola. Hey, what's up, Mary? That's my girl, Mary Kelly. She's part of my business advisor. So it's great to see her on board. I have a board of advisors, and Mary is one of them. And let me tell you, shouldn't play. So today's talk was specially requested by my good friend, Michael Bentley. He is the Senior Director of Sales at TransFinder. And TransFinder does an amazing job they have the software that they use for bus routing for K through 12, and they're absolutely fantastic. And he told me of a specific challenge, and I wanted to come on today and really help out with that challenge. So, hi, Michael Bentley. It's so good to see you. I love you too, Mary. Hi to here. How are you guys doing? So this is going to get kind of detailed, right? Because I listen to a lot of salespeople, and I've coached a lot of salespeople. It's kind of cool to have people who've been in sales for 30 years, and then they call me their coach, which is amazing because clearly I'm only 31. At least that's the story we're going with, which is probably very confusing to my 30-year-old son, but let's just go with it anyway. So we're going to talk about really what the challenge is with closing that deal, what people are missing, what they're doing wrong. And I'm going to give you very specific information. So I'm going to drop some knowledge. I'm going to give you specific information. I'm even going to give you, while I do some extra shout outs and give you time to invite your friends, I am going to give you time to do that. Get your pen and paper. So invite your friends, get your pen and paper, because this is going to be one of those Dawnna St Louis, drop some knowledge. Oh my God, I didn't even know I was doing that wrong kind of thing. So this is going to go deep. So seriously, get your pen and paper. And right, Mary's only 31 as well. See, boom. So get your pen and paper. Like seriously, get ready. Give me some love. Let me know you're in. And this is not going to be a 10-minute special. I'm going to go in and give you detail. This is straight up core education. Again, Senior Director of Sales, Michael Bentley from TransFinder asked for this today. And so I said I would come on and give it to you. You ask, you shall receive. All right. So if you're ready, here we go. You get that call, right? Or you make that call. We're going to start on you get that call, and the person on the other end wants to hire you, or they want to work with you. They want to give you the deal. At least they think they do. And they get on the call and they say, "We love you. Oh my gosh, you're awesome. We saw your video. We saw your product. We saw your blah, blah, blah. We need you." Now, as far as you're concerned, all you need to do is send them a contract and close the deal. You're wrong, right? You're wrong. Because first of all, you have to ensure that the person that you're talking to is who you want to work with. But let's assume all that is good. Most people at this point, as soon as they hear that they're loved, that they're liked, that something is good, they're ready to go in and they're ready to close the deal right then. In fact, a lot of the salespeople would tell you, close the deal, because they've already said they love you. Don't kill the deal by keep talking. Hold on. Slow your roll, buddy. You're not ready yet. Just because someone said they love you and they like you and all this other stuff does not mean the deal is closed. I can't tell you how many people have picked up the phone and they've called me and they said, "Oh my gosh, Dawnna, I went to your website. I saw your videos. I saw blah, blah, blah. And I think you're amazing." And they're ready to close the deal. And I'm like, really? No, we're not closing a deal yet, because what will happen is I will send them that proposal. And this has happened. They call me. They love me. They think I'm amazing, right? This is the perfect prospect. I send them a proposal and then crickets. They don't call me back. I don't hear from them. I really think they've been abducted by aliens. This happens. So I'm sure this has happened to some of you, or they have a real problem. I haven't done my job. By virtue of someone loving me means the only job that I've done is a good marketing job. Hey, Luli. Hey, Robert. That's all I've done. I've just done a good marketing job. So you know who they love? They love my marketing team because my marketing team has done a kick-ass job. But I'm on the phone. I have not done my job yet. Right? Right. They turn into Seymour. That is a great statement. Michael just said, they turn into Seymour. Hey, what's up, Alexander? They want to see more information. They want to see a little bit more of your product. They want to take another look at your website. They turn into Seymour. By virtue of the fact that someone gets on the phone and they tell you they love you, that is not the time to start closing the deal. That is the time to do the number one thing that all of you should be doing. Ask the next best question. That's what you should be doing. You should be asking the next best question, right? Because this is normally what happens. We think they're great. We send them a contract. They disappear. You haven't done your job yet. You think you closed the deal because they love you. Great. They love you. I got a lot of people who love me, but I don't want to surprise you. They're not throwing money at me down the street because they still need to know that you understand their frustration, how that frustration connects with them emotionally, how that frustration they will pay to solve it logically. And then they're ready to go. So let's talk about this. So the first thing that you want to do is when someone says, and we're going to go to the positive, I love you. And I always go, that's awesome. So like now it's you and my dog. And I think my dog loves me because I feed him. Why do you love me? Now you might be oh, Dawnna's just trying to get her ego stroked. No, I'm not trying to get my ego stroked. I need to know why they love me. Now, here's the funny thing. I've gotten this call now probably for the past 2 days. I had two people, both of them called me and said they love me. The first person called me and said, I love you because your content is so detailed. It's so on point. Like you get in there and you give me like, boom. I get exactly what I need to do going forward. So the second person didn't say that. You know what the second person said? The second person said, because I watched your video on LinkedIn and it was hilarious. Two completely different ways. Mary loves me because I'm insightful and smart as hell. Oh, see, she loves me because of content. That's kind of my point, right? Don't get me wrong. Me and Mary laugh a lot, but normally it's usually us sitting down. Mary has a drink. We're pointing at people and we're laughing at them. Very different situation, right? But my point is, you don't know yet. You don't know why the person loves you. So the person who calls me and says, I love you because you give great content and your content is on point. I now know that I need to steer my direction towards content. The person who loves me and says, I love you because you're hilarious. I now know that I need to steer more towards humor. Here's the funny thing. If I hadn't, let's say I hadn't done that, the person who said they love me because of content, like if Mary goes, Dawnna, I love you because you're insightful and smart, and I sit there and just keep telling jokes, she's going to be like, okay, the jokes are great, but I really got an issue I need you to solve. When are we going to get down to business? If the person who called me and said, Dawnna, I really love you because you're funny, and I keep talking to them about being funny, I keep talking to them about content, they're like, God, she's actually kind of boring, right? So you have to know why they love you. Until you get 5 pieces of content, 5 pieces of information from your client, you are not ready to close the deal. So exactly, Michael, this is a great question. So when the person who said that they thought I was funny, I asked them exactly the question that Michael put. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really glad that you enjoyed my content. I validate what they said first, right? This is called, by the way, a retreat. When you agree with the person, you do an agreement. It's also called a retreat in a conversation. So when they said, oh my gosh, I really loved your I really love your humor. First thing I said was, oh my gosh, I'm glad you really loved it. Second question, what did you see of mine that you thought was funny? Because you know what? I don't know if they saw something recently or if they saw something a while ago. I don't know if they saw something that was really clean and pristine or whether they saw something where I dropped an F-bomb. I don't know what they saw. So I need to gauge who I'm talking to. So this person said that they saw something that I had put on LinkedIn that Alexander Thomas and company and my gladiators helped me get 8,500 views on. So when I said, oh, okay, so you thought that was funny. What about it? Did you think it was funny? Did you think it was me? Did you think it was the audience? What did you think? Oh, I love your perspective. I love the way you took a very serious topic and you made it funny, but you still had the really impactful points in it that were important for the audience to learn. This person likes this person likes a combination of content as well as humor. Now I know that. Now my next question, do you think something like that's important to your audience? Absolutely. We found that so now I've gotten 2 pieces of content from her. I know number 1, she likes the humor. And number 2, she thinks this humor is important. And now she's going to tell me why that humor is important. Third question. Okay, so you guys have used somebody like that before that's brought both. Who have you used before? Notice how I'm continuing to ask questions. Now, I don't want to make it 20 questions because people do this. They're like, I have to ask all these questions and therefore, no, you have to constantly connect with what they said last. A lot of times when someone says, yeah, I had someone who did blah, 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 and it worked, I will give them an example. Oh, yeah, I did this for this client, and this client really enjoyed that too. Who have you guys had before that did this type of thing? See, the issue is from the moment that someone says that they love us, we think they're ready to close the deal. But in truth, we need to know why they love us. That's right. Michael just put, learn to listen so you can listen to learn. And quite honestly, until I've gotten the answer to 5 questions, I really don't start pitching or closing or solving. Here's something that's kind of interesting. So I was talking to this client yesterday, and this client answered the question of other people that they've had on their show, on their stage. And one of the people they said that they mentioned, I know very well, and I know that they charge about the same amount that I charge. And so I said, our rate is similar. How did you like him? And they said, oh, they liked him. They thought he was really good, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I asked why. And then they said, oh, and by the way, we could probably get you a flight out like right after your talk. I thought that was kind of interesting that they said they can get me a flight out right after I talk. Like literally, if my talk ends at 2, they can probably have me on a flight by 3:15. And I jokingly said, I'm like, do you want your speakers to leave right away? Because if not, I'd really love to stay around and hang out with your clients. Is there a reason that you'd want me to leave right away? And they said, oh, no. It's just that the other speaker that you compared your rate to, that speaker literally had their roller bag behind the podium so they could leave. I'm like, I would never do that. It's not about me. It's for your client. It's not about me. It's for your audience unless you don't want me to be there. But just imagine if I hadn't have asked the question, right? This happens in sales all the time. A client will call and say, we're taking a look at your competitor. Really? So you're taking a look at XYZ company. Tell me, what do you really like about them? Not what do you hate about them? What do you really like about them? Okay, don't ever, by the way, ever, when a client says that they like another company, don't ever, ever, ever tell the person that they're an idiot for liking the other company. Exactly. Become a master asker. Let me tell you what happened to me one time. So I had an Electrolux vacuum cleaner that I'd had for 1,000 years. This other guy from a competitor, I think it was Kirby, came in and he put dirt on my floor and then proceeded to vacuum. And he's telling me about the Kirby. And then he goes forward and says, what do you have now? And I say an Electrolux. And he explains to me why an Electrolux is a complete, total, and utter piece of crap. Mind you, I've been using this piece of crap for about 10 years at the time. And he tells me why it was a piece of crap, why it was such a waste of money, and all this other type of thing. And now he wants to ask me to buy, a $2,000 Kirby. And I looked at him and I said, well, clearly I'm not smart enough to make smart decisions, such as buying a vacuum cleaner. So why would I already made a mistake buying the Electrolux. Why would I make that mistake again? And I kicked him to the curb. Because what he did was, by telling me that my previous decision was so stupid, how could I possibly be smart enough to make a different decision? Don't ever do that. Don't ever, ever tell your client how the competitor sucks ass. Because let me tell you, they have no reason to buy from you. You just call them an idiot. Here's another thing that you really need to pay attention to. I was buying a Mercedes. Now, I had historically been a 2-seater convertible person. I lived in South Florida, and the only thing I drove was something that was 2 seats and a drop top. That was it. And I had this little Toyota MR2. It was the most fun car in the world. I loved it. But now I was going to get a Mercedes because I was carrying people with me. And specifically, I wanted one that had 4 seats and a convertible. I pulled in, of course, I'm going from a Toyota to a Mercedes. I mean, it's literally a different class of car. I am just waiting for the guy who works in the Mercedes dealership to explain to me, well, how did you even get in here with that car? Kind of that kind of thing where I'm not good enough to be there. I walk in, the guy stands there and he watches me as I get out of the car, come inside, and he goes, hey, that's the Toyota MR2, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, I noticed you changed the badging on the front. Is that the original Japanese badging? And I'm like, oh, yeah, actually it is. He says, that car is the most fun car I've ever been in. It is just fun. He said, do you have the stick shift? I said, I do. He goes, do you know how to slingshot? No, I don't. He goes, how about this? If you let me get in and drive it, I'll show you how to slingshot. Really? So we get in the car. He shows me how to slingshot, which is a way of shifting gears, just so you guys will know. And he made me feel like I had made a fantastic decision buying that car. And while we were in there, the first thing he said was, he goes, this car is so much fun. He goes, and it looks fantastic. Why are you getting rid of it? And he goes, or are you just going to get another car, like an additional car? And we talked about it. I told him I wanted something with additional seats. But the point is that he took the time to tell me how awesome my current car was. He really wanted to know authentically why I was getting rid of it. He thought it was a whole lot of fun. He never talked down the car. He made me feel like the car that I bought before was a very smart and fun decision. And why would I ever change from something so amazing? He made me feel good about my previous decision, which would make me feel good about making another decision. But notice what he did. He tapped into an emotional trigger as well as asking me the next best question. So I'm going to tell you 2 things that I already covered for you really quickly. So most of the time when salespeople respond to anything, when they say, you know what, we're looking at your competitor because we don't think you blah, 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 blah. The first thing they do is they go to solve and defend. Well, our competitor doesn't have better security, and our competitor, you're going to use this, and our competitor, and they just start bashing the competitor. Bad. This is what you should do. There are 4 ways to respond to every question. You can shift. In other words, we're not going to talk about security because our security sucks, so we're going to talk about something else. Not really the best idea. It's a little underhanded. People don't tend to like it. We see it happen in politics all the time. Not always the best way to go. The second thing that people do is they retreat. Retreat means I'm going to agree with you and then shift, usually, or I'm going to agree with you and go to another question. But a retreat is literally stepping back from a defensive stance and almost agreeing with the other person. Then the other thing you can do is solve and defend. Now, 80 to 90% of salespeople who respond to anything go straight to solve and defend. Dawnna, we love you. Great. What's the date for your event? Dawnna, we love you. Great. What's your budget? I mean, like, they're already ready to solve the problem, right? Do you want me to send you a contract? They're ready to get in there. You're not ready yet, so stop. And then the last thing that people do, which they should do, is ask the next best question. And that question is usually associated with the previous statement. Dawnna, we love you. Really? Why? Only you and my dog love me, and I feed my dog, so why do you love me? Should I send you guys bags of dog food? You want to really understand why they love you, why they're interested in you, why they're talking to you. You need to get 5 pieces of why before you go on to, I need to close the deal. Now, once you're at the point where you've gotten those 5 pieces of why, and now you're ready to solve and defend, here's the thing. If you're smart and you've gotten those 5 pieces of why, your customer has actually told you what motivates them to buy. They've told you through communicating with you. They've told you either they're looking for importance, that they want to look important, or that they're looking for acceptance from their clients or from their colleagues. They've told you that they're competitive. They've told you something about them. Maybe they just want simplicity, but they've told you one of the 7 triggers that they need. This is their emotional justification. And if you're really curious, the number one question that you should always ask your client has to do with frustrations. Tell me what is number one, no questions asked right now, frustrating you about. Frustrating you about buying a speaker, frustrating you about finding the right person for your service, finding the right service, frustrating you about finding the right vendor, frustrating you about currently using our product. What is frustrating you? That's the first question you ask. The next question is, tell me the coolest thing. What is the coolest thing? And you use your own words, right? Frustrating you should always use. But then what is the coolest thing? What's the best thing? What's the hottest thing? What's happening right now? Whatever that is. You want to start with the frustration and understand their emotional reasons for not going forward or why they're frustrated so you'll know how to solve that. And then the next thing is, so what's the coolest thing? And if everything was great, what would your ultimate solution look like? By asking these questions, you now know how to actually put together the statements that you're going to use to solve their problem. And all you're going to do is take their words and reuse them when you're talking back to them. Until you have 5 pieces of information, you shouldn't be saying very much. You should be retreating, which is agreeing with them and asking the next best question. That's really all you should be doing. Right? And when I say retreat, I mean connect with what they're talking about. Repeat the last thing they said. And I don't mean that, so what you're saying is, I don't mean that. When someone says, hey, Dawnna, we had somebody that came out here and they use content as well as humor to really drive home points. And we like that. Oh, yeah, I had another client that really seemed to like that. And this was their results. How did it work out for you guys? That's what I mean. Retreat, which is retreat. Go into your memories, find some information, bring it back up, leverage it, go to the next best question. You need to consistently be doing that. Once you have 5 pieces of valuable, really valuable information, now you're ready to actually frame your solution. And because you have that information, you can frame that solution in such a way that you're using your customers' words back to them. You know what, Bob? One of the things that you mentioned was your customers, your attendees, your audience members really seem to connect with this type of information. Well, guess what? I've had customers that have done that too. And for your event, I can do this. Would that work for you? Like, I am literally using their same words when I speak to them. This makes them feel like, number one, I was listening. And it also makes them feel like, by the way, that there is a connection because I'm using their same words back to them. This is what we really need to think about when we're talking about asking the next best question. Until you have those 5 pieces of information that really connect you with the client, you should not be solving anything because quite honestly, you don't have a solution for their frustrations. And that's the truth of it. Anyway, my name is Dawnna St Louis. I hope this has been very helpful for you. Now, if you guys really want to know about the triggers, I can talk a little bit about the triggers tomorrow because I don't want to go entirely too long because I've been on a rant already. And I did this one special, sponsored for TransFinder. Michael Bentley, who's the Senior Director of Sales, asked me to get in here and do this today. So here you go. So make sure that you're taking the time to ask the next best question, that you get those 5 pieces of information that connect you directly to the client, and that you're really not just shifting or retreating or just going into solving and defending, but that you're using all of those appropriately. And make sure that you're speaking to their triggers. So hopefully this was helpful to you. My name is Dawnna St. Louis, and tune in next time. And by the way, I have a big show coming up that I'm looking for contestants for, and it's called Into the Fire. And one of the things that we're going to do is, it's kind of like Shark Tank, but it's for entrepreneurs that don't have a brick and mortar type thing. They have intellectual property and information that they want to share. And we're actually giving away 5 hours worth of coaching to would-be entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs that want to pitch their particular entrepreneurial idea, and they really want to get help on that idea. Anyway, you're going to get more information coming up because that's coming up really, really soon. We're getting ready to take applications for people who want to be on the show, and we have a couple of people that we think might even be from networks that are interested, so we're putting our pilot out on social media. Anyway, my name is Dawnna St. Louis, and I'll see you next time.